This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening, everyone. The news Tasmanian football fans have been waiting for has finally arrived, with North Melbourne being granted an AFL women's licence. Sports reporter Tom Cooper has been following today's developments and joins us now. Tom, this is fantastic news. What does it all mean for Tasmania?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it, Joe? And hopefully it only means good things. As you mentioned, North Melbourne was officially granted an AFLW licence for 2019 today, along with Geelong. The state government and AFL Tasmania have struck up a partnership with the Kangaroos, and here's what we understand so far. The AFLW side will play half of its home games here in Tasmania. There will be a dedicated training base for the side, which is likely to be in the north of the state, and half of the playing group will eventually be made up of Tasmanian talent. Now let's have a listen to what AFL CEO Gillan McLachlan and Premier Will Hodgman had to say about it all today.
A partnership with the Tasmanian government, which will build on the academy they already have in Tasmania, and this is a real win for female football in Tasmania.
An exciting point in Tasmania's sporting history that we will have a team that has very much Tasmania at its heart.
Now, what's still a little bit uncertain is the name of the side. However, the state government is already calling it the Tassie Kangaroos. I spoke to someone from North Melbourne a short time ago, and they said it's most likely going to be the North Melbourne Tassie Kangaroos. Now, the club's CEO, Carl Delena, will be in Hobart tomorrow to release more details about the partnership. But I suppose any way you look at it, Joe, Tasmania is set to be very well represented in the AFLW come 2019. Back to you.
Well, it certainly does look that way. Such exciting news. Thanks so much for that, Tom. We'll catch up with you again a little later in sport. We turn now to the day's other news, and the Premier is refusing to release more details surrounding the death of a 7-month-old baby while the matter is being investigated by police. 2 child protection notifications were made about the infant in the weeks leading up to her death. Unions believe under-resourcing in the sector was a contributing factor.
This was the message from overburdened frontline child safety staff earlier this month.
It's not a question of if a child will fall through the gaps, it's a question of when.
The sector in the spotlight again after a 7-month-old baby girl died at a home in Launceston last Tuesday while being bathed. The Human Services Minister confirming 2 child protection notifications were made about the infant in the weeks leading up to its death. Unions say staff were under pressure to respond with limited resources.
If we've got a case now where there's been 2 notifications and the workers haven't been able to respond and to make sure that child is safe, then that is totally unacceptable.
A child health nurse made a visit to the mother and her baby a week before the tragedy, the government maintaining an assessment was being actively undertaken.
In due course, government and any other agencies within government will respond to matters of detail, but we would not and could not compromise a coronial inquiry and a police investigation.
Questions remaining on the timing of the public release of information.
It's taken more than a week for the government to make a statement and for there to be any information on the public record about this tragic death.
This is a week after a tragic event in which the government was informed that this child was at risk by not only 1 notification but 2.
The Premier denies any suggestion of attempted delays. Unions fear without an injection into frontline staff, a similar event could unfold. Workers say up to 100 notifications have been reported in the state's south without being fully assessed.
I am worried that there are other cases within the system that we haven't heard about, cases that are a direct result of a lack of resourcing that are being hidden away because it's bad news for this government.
Investigations into the baby's death are continuing. No charges have been laid. Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
A couple missing in freezing temperatures in the Derwent Valley overnight has been found safe and well. Gordon and Hazel Pickery were last seen leaving a supermarket at New Norfolk yesterday morning. Using phone location data and with community help, they were found near Glenora Road just before 9 a.m.
They have a medical condition and that was reported yesterday, and that's dementia related. Today, the police on site tell me that they really, both Gordon and Hazel, had no real memory of how they got to be where they were.
They were taken to hospital in good condition. Tasmania Police is investigating the whereabouts of 21-year-old man Harrison Wu, who has not made contact with his family since 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. He was last seen in the Roaches Beach area and drives a silver Hyundai i20. He's described as being 184 centimetres in height, of slim build with dark brown hair and brown eyes. Anyone with information is asked to contact Tasmania Police. The Premier is set to reveal his new look cabinet tomorrow following the resignation of Matthew Groom. A number of portfolios will need to be reallocated, including energy, environment and state growth. The Attorney-General portfolio is also in limbo since the sudden departure of the acting minister over the weekend.
It is appropriate when circumstances arise and changes need to be made that not only do I consult with my colleagues, but we do what's in the best interests of the state and to continue to provide Tasmanians with certainty and stability in government. That is my principal focus.
The focus will be on the Speaker of the House, Celise Archer, who has previously been overlooked for ministerial responsibilities. And a change is coming at the next federal election as part of a review of Tasmania's electoral divisions. Today it's been confirmed that the seat of Denison will be renamed Clark. The new name recognises Andrew Inglis Clark, who is seen as the principal author of the Australian Constitution. Changes will also be made to the boundaries of all 5 Tasmanian federal electorates. A Launceston man who struck another person in the head with a golf club, knocking him unconscious, has been found guilty of causing grievous bodily harm. It took the Launceston Supreme Court jury 3 hours to deliver its verdict. The attacker is now waiting to hear his sentence.
Invermay's Jamie Collins had been standing trial, accused of intentionally causing bodily harm to former Launceston man Christian Whiteman. This afternoon, a jury found him not guilty of that offence, but guilty of an alternate charge of causing grievous bodily harm. The incident occurred on November 22, 2015. That day, both the accused and the victim had been on a golf trip in the state's northeast. They'd been arguing throughout the day and a heated exchange broke out between them on the bus back to town. It was when the group arrived back at Invermay's Park Hotel that Collins approached Whiteman from behind and, with a 7-iron, struck him in the head, rendering him unconscious. Whiteman spent the next 11 days in the Royal Hobart Hospital on life support. He had pieces of his brain removed due to damage and he now suffers memory loss. Throughout the trial, Jamie Collins' defence lawyer argued his client was acting in self-defence. He claimed all Collins was trying to do was stop Whiteman from attacking him. The Crown has requested Whiteman's serious brain injuries be considered in sentencing. The defence also submitting that Collins was clearly shocked and upset following the incident and even handed himself into police 30 minutes later, and that too should be taken into account. Collins has been remanded in custody and will be sentenced next Thursday. Monica Dadson, Southern Cross News.
A strange research ship has appeared on Hobart's waterfront. The vessel was previously used to drill for oil, but now it's drilling for a different reason. It's on a mission to uncover the mysteries of the newly discovered sunken continent of Zealandia.
The Joyda's Resolution strikes as an unusual figure on Hobart's waterfront, with its drilling derrick towering above. Made for oil exploration in the 1970s, it's been converted into a floating laboratory.
So there are 7 decks of laboratory space on board, and we put about 30 scientists out on each expedition that goes out for 2 months.
The ship's current mission is uncovering the secrets of the newly confirmed continent of Zealandia. The sunken area is believed to stretch from New Caledonia through New Zealand and down near Macquarie Island. Scientists are drilling into the seabed, extracting millions of years worth of sediment.
Sure enough, we found real evidence that about 50 million years ago, when the Pacific Ring of Fire formed, the geography of Zealandia totally changed.
In the cores they've extracted deep underwater, they've found fossils which suggest part of the lost continent were much more shallow, or in fact, above water.
We're finding animals that lived in shallow water, say 30 or 40, 50 million years ago, which are totally out of place when you look at the present day geography.
The crew here only have a few days to resupply before leaving on another 8-week voyage on Sunday.
The next one that's coming up will be drilling off the southwest coast of Australia, and then we move over off the coast of New Zealand.
In the hopes of uncovering more mysteries from Earth's new continent. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
A school group made up of 8-year-old Tasmanian devil experts has handed over more than $2,000 to support research into a vaccine for the facial tumour disease affecting the state's iconic animal. It was a sea of red today as proud and well-researched school children handed over the money.
This is my best part of my job, coming to schools, particularly East Launceston, and I always have to be on my best game for them because they all know more than I do about the Tasmanian devil.
The school has been involved with the appeal for over 5 years and has raised more than $15,000. Tasmanians battling addiction will soon have a brand new multi-purpose centre which aims to improve their recovery process. The $140,000 building renovation at Missiondale will be used for various activities and group exercise.
Art therapy, music therapy, we do some work with crafts. It's also going to be used for some of the cognitive therapy groups where they come together in groups of 10 and 12 and discuss issues.
The project has been in the making for 15 months. Since opening their doors 20 years ago, the Evandale Rehab Centre has seen almost 1,300 residents come through the program. The 2017 Melbourne Cup has made its way around the nation, visiting Tasmania before returning home to Flemington Racecourse. Longford has been selected as one of the destinations to host the Cup because of its rich horse racing history.
It's a far cry from the Flemington field, but for these children, holding the 2017 Melbourne Cup after it's travelled more than 500 kilometres is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Others also jumping at the chance to hold the famous trophy.
Very exciting. We're actually from Melbourne. We've lived in Tassie for a year, so when I found out that I could have the opportunity to come and hold it, I jumped at it. It's very, very exciting. It's quite heavy as well.
You see the way people's faces light up and when they're engaging with people or meeting people, it really does kind of hit you with the enormity of what it does.
Former jockey and two-time Cup winner John Letts proud to be a part of today's tour. He says for him the 1972 and 1980 win will forever hold great memories.
Myself winning the Melbourne Cup on a Tasmanian horse. Tasmania always means a lot to me. I love to get this part of the journey on our tour.
The $200,000 cup weighs 3.2 kilos. It's made out of 18-carat gold, and the 3 handles represent the jockey, trainer and the owner. With the race that stops the nation not until November 7, no one yet knows where the cup will finish up. But after being on the road since July 1, it's now heading back to Victoria.
I think everywhere we go there's certainly a level of excitement, and Longford's no different in taking this year's Emirates Melbourne Cup to the people. It's the People's Cup and the People's Race, and certainly there's been some high levels of excitement.
Rita Risk, Southern Cross News.
Tasmania's Greek community is coming together in hopes of establishing a not-for-profit grocer in North Hobart. Preparations are underway for a fundraising dinner tomorrow night. The community store to act as a tribute to Viola Delios, who was murdered in her grocer 12 months ago.
I like to see the doors open. I like to see people going in and out. I like to see life into the shop again.
What better way to honour Viola by having a shop that's accessible for all people and having quality fruit and veg again.
Tickets to the fundraiser are available online. New laws to better protect cyclists on Tasmanian roads have come into effect today. Motorists must now be at least 1 metre from a cyclist when passing on roads with a speed limit of 60 kilometres per hour or under. The minimum gap is 1.5 metres on roads with a limit over 60 kilometres per hour. Now a look at the day's business and finance with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The share market has closed lower as investors tread cautiously ahead of a speech by US President Donald Trump that's expected to detail his plans for tax cuts and reform. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 6.7 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 78.63 US cents and 66.81 euro cents.
The Hobart Chargers have taken another big step towards becoming NBL ready, appointing past player Mark Nash as the club's first ever high-performance coach. The Chargers also officially welcoming back Anthony Stewart and Dwayne Davey as the men's and women's head coaches for 2018. One of Tasmanian basketball's favourite sons, Nash says there's nowhere else he wanted to be in 2018.
Basketball is certainly booming right across the country, but also here in Tasmania. And at the end of the season, really had the opportunity to drill into what the vision of the Chargers is moving forward and how I could possibly contribute.
An NBL championship winning player with the Adelaide 36ers, the towering power forward returned home in 2007 to play his last 2 seasons with the Chargers and has since had roles as the club president and most recently on the Launceston Tornadoes board. But Nash says player development is where his passion lies.
I'm looking forward to supporting our coaches, but for me the real excitement is working with our athletes.
For the Chargers president, creating the new role is not only a big step towards tasting Siebel Championship success in 2018, but a clear message to the NBL that the club will be ready to enter the league in 2019.
What our hope, of course, is that when we're NBL ready, those players will also be NBL ready and want to play for Hobart.
Bartlett also confirming today that Anthony Stewart and Dwayne Davey will return to lead the men's and women's sides forward next season.
At home, we've gone 24-4 over the last 2 years after a couple of lean years before that. So it's been a huge turnaround for the club, and it's a privilege to be here. Really proud of what we did this year. Obviously, a little bit of a disappointing end, and then hopefully you can take a step forward next year.
After months of personnel changes and organisation restructures, the Tasmanian Tigers are raring to get their domestic season underway. The side departed for Perth this morning ahead of their JLT One Day Cup campaign, which begins with a match against New South Wales at the Wacker on Monday.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really positive. There is a bit of that nervousness there. It's a bit of the unknown with some of the different things we've tried to do for the pre-season and implementing the games. But it's exciting. The boys are, they're all early this morning. I think everyone's just ready to get out in the field and play.
Following 5 interstate matches, the Tigers play their first Tasmanian game against Queensland at Launceston Arena on October 17. And finally tonight, Tassie kayaker Kate Eckhart has picked up a team bronze at the Slalom World Championship in the K1 event. The Aussies finished just under 5 seconds behind the winner, Germany. Fellow Tasmanian Daniel Watkins also competed for Australia in the men's canoe team final. His team ended up in 7th place after conceding 4 penalties.
Good evening, and once again, thanks to the Richmond fans that keep sending in the paraphernalia for me to wear. This little number's been sent in by a little fella called Gary Bass, who tells me when he grows older he wants to be a big umpire. Good on you, Gary. Hobart 14 today, Launceston 13, Burnie 9 and a top of 10 in Devonport. Flinders Island warmed up to 17 today, as did Friendly Beaches. Most temperatures, though, below average. Campania 15, St Helens 14, King Island and Grove 13, Bushy Park and Strawn 11. Lyowini -5 overnight, a top of 9 today. Now, there is an elongated cloud band extending over Victoria and New South Wales. The comma-shaped cloud band over Tasmania helped abbreviate our fine start today, bringing our clear conditions to a full stop due to a low to our west. Most of the country is cloud-free apart from that lower cloud over southern WA. And there's the rain-bearing cloud bearing down on us today. Tomorrow, the low moves off to our southeast, trailing a cold front back over Victoria and New South Wales. A trough also over the inland areas, and the next cold front moving closer. The 15 to 25 knot northwest winds will shift west-southwesterly during the morning tomorrow before increasing to 20 to 30 knots and then ease during the evening, swells to 4 metres. Strong wind warning for all coastal waters and a small craft wind alert for the lakes. For tomorrow, a possible shower for Hobart, 15 the high, a shower or 2 for Cygnet and New Norfolk with 14 the top. Launceston, an early shower, 16 the maximum, 14 for Devonport, an early shower as well for Campbelltown and 16. Burnie, a possible shower, 14. Definite shower in the west, Strawn on 13 and Smithton 14 degrees. And for St Helens, partly cloudy, 18, 17 for Swansea and Fingal. On Friday, showers over the west and far south, extending throughout in the afternoon, lighter in the southeast. A shower or two on Saturday, contracting to the west and far south in the morning with snow to 500 metres. And on Sunday, fine but cloudy, apart from a shower over the west, far south and northwest. Showers with a storm likely over Perth. A shower or two forecast for Adelaide with 17 and possibly for Melbourne. And for grand final day, an early shower clearing, west to southwest winds and a top of 16. The early forecast for the AFL grand final. Partly cloudy in Sydney tomorrow and hot and sunny in Brisbane and Darwin. A little bit of rain about at the moment. Hobart 9 degrees, cloudy in Launceston with rain this afternoon. Rain also during the day today in Devonport, but cloudy and 10 degrees. Joe, that's the weather as it is at the moment. Only 2 more outfits before the grand final.
Oh, we can hardly wait. Thank you very much, Merv. That's all from the team for now. Have a great evening. See you a bit later. Bye-bye.